Mr. Ade, thank you very much. Like you said, I mean, the flight president of Bassirou Faye has just landed here at the Banjul International Airport. I mean, it's exactly, he was meant to land exactly 10 o'clock, and then, yes, I mean, it's just 10:30 here at the Banjul International Airport, and the flight has just landed. Bading only melbe QTV Jube kan katnal ko albe QTV Jube kan live influente mbali Banjul International Airport dula mi alan ko Senegal Président wala mo Bassirou Faye wala mina kan Gambia bi pour que lonkeling tamo ke pour kana aning Président Barrow e kacha ko mi alan ko asulata Gambia ni Senegal temo comme mbe ngalon ko nyamen nyim banko fulolo banko mi alan ko badi ngolam just that Senegal ka France ka wala fo Gambia ka Angle kam bari nyaajubi e be badi kilingolti so mbok ngami da ngi sran QTV di len wax ne rek ñu ngi fi nga ne mo nek Banjul International Airport fi nga xamne flight bo ngamne si mo nek di indi nga ne mo nek Bassirou Faye président Sénégal ex na fi ci Banjul International Airport fi nga xamne njiti rew mi président Adama Barrow ak yenen borom number tanka ñep ñu ngi bokk project yo ne
and then we can see President Barrow there, arm raised and being applauded by the dignitaries who were there, and making his way along the red carpet, and he's just waving there, and of course he will go and he will get to a certain point where he will stop and then greet his fellow president. This is the sort of normal thing that one expects on a state visit, of course. And of course, as we've said, you know, very, very close and cordial relations between the two countries. And I think at this point it's worth mentioning that, you know, over the time of his presidency, I think, Troy, it's fair to say that many people felt that he had established a relationship with President Macky Sall that appeared to go beyond just the normal, oh, we're neighbors. There seemed to be a certain amount of a friendship that went beyond just their presidencies. Was that the sense that you got as well?
Sure, absolutely. That was the sense because you know, in history, Senegal has been quite, you know, has always manifested that brotherly, you know, generosity, you know, and support to the Gambia in terms of need.
Sure.
And the 1981 coup is a clear, you know, historical point for reference in this case. And also, not only that one, in fact, in 2016, after when we had our election,
exactly,
you know, the same thing. Yes. So, 1981, Kuiko Sambasanyang coup, which was quite bloody, one of the, you know, bloodiest history of our country. And also, you know, Senegal dispatching, you know, its security to the country, because it is important for people to understand here, right when we attained independence, the reason why, you know, so many people doubted the, you know, the Gambia's viability, you know, to stand on its own, to be independent, to a point that, you know, a writer, you know, had a book called The Gambia, the Birth of an Improbable Nation. So, of course, that was something of a concern to our colonizer, Great Britain. And, you know, at the Marlborough House, discussions also featured, you know, how do we support the Gambia to be strong enough to be a viable nation. But they also considered Senegal as a very important, you know, country that will help to ensure that this is realized.
Sure.
And as a result of that, the UN also had to dispatch a team to come to the Gambia on a fact-finding mission, you know, on you know, the viability of the, you know, of the country.
Well, I'm smiling because if people go back online and they look at the kind of British news broadcasts of the day, even as Gambia attained independence, many of them kind of said with a smile in their voice, of course, at some point they will have a confederation with Senegal.
Yes,
they felt that was an inevitability for Gambia's survival. But now we can see that the ramp which carries the stairs is being wheeled out, and at some point it will be taken close to the aircraft. And of course, as one would imagine, heightened security for a visit such as this one. Yes, it's a friendly, it's a brotherly one, but nonetheless, nothing will be left to chance. So, of course, our security detail will be on very, very high alert. And we can see a flag there being waved from the cockpit. I can see a Senegalese flag. I don't know whether they were also brandishing a Gambian flag. And there, of course, we have the Republic of Senegal plane. I don't know whether they call it Air Force One, as the Americans do. They probably have a name for it.
Republic of Senegal.
Yes, of course. It's emblazoned on the side.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was, you know, this both our colonial, you know, our colonizers had this concern, but also the UN team that was dispatched to the country also,
could this
you know,
survive?
the findings revealed, you know, the findings and the recommendations were that both countries must come together.
If I could just take the viewers back whilst we're talking, they can just see there the ramp which carries the stairs is being taken right up to the plane, and at some point it will make contact and we will see the doors open, and hopefully soon after that we will see Senegal's newest president descend.
Of course, yes. Most likely, his, you know, the members of his delegation will descend first, then finally the president. There are some protocols on the ground.
Of course, yes.
All protocols will be observed here, and we'll see how
to
it
quote that famous
unfolds.
phrase. And so yes, and so obviously once they are certain that everything is safe, the signal will be given, and there we can see the tap at the top of the ramp, which has got the stairs, and he will be willing. So I don't know whether we can go, Ali. So I think it's good if we get the flavor direct from our colleague Aliou Cissé, who is on the ground. Aliou, over to you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ade and Modlamin Choi. Like you said, I mean, the flight has now landed, and then any moment from now, President Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye will disembark from his presidential flight. I mean, here at the Banjul International Airport. I had you and Choi trying to give some historical perspective between these two countries from the 1981 coup, of course, I mean, to the 2017 impasse. I mean, we saw the role that Senegal played in the change of government, but I mean, we have also seen, I mean, the relationship between President Barrow and the former president of Senegal, Macky Sall, and this is something that many here expect Diomaye Faye will also follow in the same footstep. I mean, these two countries, they share a lot in common. I mean, I don't think there's any Gambian who doesn't have a relative in Senegal, the same with Senegal as well. And then in promoting that spirit, I mean, the governments have a huge role to play in terms of their policies and bilateral agreements that they signed. I mean, I think everything will be based on mutual interest and respect. So basically, that's what's happening here at the Banjul International Airport. At the foot of the aircraft, I can see the Gambia's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Modu Tangara, and of course, I mean, security chiefs as well. I also saw the Senegalese High Commissioner to the Gambia, Bassirou is also on the ground here. And of course, like I said, Deputy Speaker Sidi Esken Njai Hamad Nkeba, Minister of Tourism, Babkar Ojouf, the Minister of Trade, Ismaila Sise, Minister of Information, Usman Ba, I mean, Minister of Communication, Abdi Diop, I mean, Minister of Energy, Fatou Kinte, Minister of Gender, of course, Professor Per Gomez, Minister of Higher Education, Musa Drame, Minister of Environment, Ibrahim Asila, Minister of Works, and what was saying, I mean, Salimata Toure here, who is the Secretary General of Civil Service. Modkesi, the Chief of Staff, is also here. Alun Njai, Secretary of Cabinet. Rohi Malik Lo, the Mayoress of Banjul, is also here, and other officials from the Ministry of Higher Education, and of course, members of the diplomatic corps are all here. I've seen, of course, I mean, the ECOWAS permanent rep to the Gambia, Lillian French is here. I've seen Lamin Manga, who is the Chancellor of Russia here in the country. Mr. Ade, your very good friend Lamin Manga is also here. But this shows the significance of this visit. And yes, that's the President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who now disembarking from his flight, and he's being received by his counterpart, President Adama Barrow. A quite significant visit here, and something that will go down in the history of the of both countries. But like I said, I mean, this is not the first time that we have seen a Senegalese president visiting the Gambia immediately after their election. Macky Sall also did the same when he was elected. I mean, Gambia was the first country he visited. So that shows the importance that both countries have towards one another, because I mean, these two countries, I mean, like you keep on emphasizing, they have a lot in common. But I mean, that's exactly what is happening here. And like I said, we have our fine men and women here to give the parade, led by Lieutenant Colonel Abdoulaye Ba, who is the parade commander for this occasion here at the Banjul International Airport. Badingol nyintamento Senegal President Bassirou Diomaye Faye affelenti afotanang Banjul International Airport banko nyaton ko President Adama Barrow wala nata ka bendung kabring abe jikan ala kulunti la nyintamento affelenti Bassirou Diomaye Faye aning President Adama Barrow ibe tama kan pour kana mi ala ko nyanta ka national anthem fulol bele julole kosila mi ala ko na banko security forces wala ba
Nah, so getting home, I'm doing it. So flag la boja. Flag.
election over, they have your permission to carry on with the parade, Your Excellency.
It's important and historic. Esto Mamadou Sabali, special advisor to the president, of course, Lamine Seydi and many others are all here to welcome the president. I mean, a good section of the Senegalese community in the Gambia are also here, and of course, like I said earlier on our way to the airport, we passed a quite sizable supporter of PASTEF who are also come to receive the president. And like I said, I mean, the Senegalese High Commissioner Bassirou is here. Is also assisting the president in, of course, I mean, telling the visiting president who is who among this large crowd here at the Banjul International Airport. So, Mr. Ade, basically that's what's happening here right now. And then, like I said, I mean, the two heads of state will later have started at the State House in Banjul before having a press conference with the media. Malik Sister is also here, and of course other officials of the government are all here. So this is a quite important visit for not just the Gambia but Senegal equally. Mr. Ade, is over to you.
Thank you, Ade. And I think, Choi, one of the things that we've seen already, if I can make a joke, sometimes when President Macky Sall came here, it was almost as if him and President Barrow were in Ashobi. They were almost identically dressed. We're not likely to see that with Bassirou Diomaye Faye because, as we saw from the first picture that was put out of his cabinet, where there were only 4 women, by the way, and they were the only ones, those were the only ones who were wearing Africana. All the men were in Western suits, and we saw him descend here in a Western suit and tie. So, Choi, both in English and in local language, please, your sort of sense of, the kind of dress sense is a kind of almost a return to the Senegalese presidents of old.
Yes, it reminds me of Senghor style also, type of.
Quite. Right.
Senghor was very close to the French.
I have a picture here of Senghor.
Yes,
we can catch it, in his
in a suit.
Typical suit and tie.
Yeah, I know you are very, particular about the dress.
No. I joke about it because it struck me as quite stark that when they did they were all in almost identical suits, the men of the cabinet, in case anybody wondering what the picture is that I'm talking about. And none of them were in what I would call African attire, the men. But the women all were. There were only 4 women in the whole cabinet of 20-something people. So it was kind of, senior ministers and junior ministers. And all the men were in Western suit and tie. And I found it quite stark.
Because, if you look at these people, they had in their campaign, agenda that very strong message for African unity, to promote, African culture,
anti-French particularly,
sentiments coming out of their campaigns. Of course, many, would have expected perhaps because, our culture. The way we dress reflects our culture also.
That was why I commented on it, but I just wondered if in local language as well you could kind of break down some of what we've just been discussing.
Yes,
so it's not just
jërëngeen jëf mbokk yi ñu ngi si programme bi fii nii man ak Adé Dramé tey réeréewul leen mbir ne président Diomaye Diakhar Faye nekk na koo xam ne buñ ko tànnee yàggut te buñ ko tànnee gis nañ ne def na tukki pour xool naka la muy mun a jëflante ak counterpart sami waaye dëkk bu mu njëkk a seet visit mooy Mauritania nag président bu fa nekk moom moo nekk acting chair of the African Union so si semaine bi la fa président Diakhar Faye demoon ñaari fan si gannaaw so tey gis nañ ne mu ngi ñëw pour visit Gambia nag ak Sénégal suñ dégluwee si foreign affairs ministre bu doon wax bu yàggul rek mu ngi wane ne Gambia ak Sénégal yëpp benn bopp la kenn mënu ko xar ñaar te loolu laa gën a gaaral si loolu gaaral naa ko tamit suñuy waxtaan man ak Adé Dramé ne soo demee Sénégal the same thing loolu lañ de bàkkoo si suñ diggante mooy ne benn bopp la te kenn mënu koy xar ñaar so loolu nag nekk na loo xam ne Sénégal ak Gambia seen lëkkaloo si seen relationship yàgg na ñu ngi koy wane in history si histoire yi Gambia ak Sénégal man nag wax naa ne balaa 10th of August 1889 amuñu woon luñ doon wax Gambia ak Sénégal soo xoolee ñaari réew yi nii tubaab bi ñëwoon nañ fi colonise mooy jël amee suñ doxale ni réew ba Sénégal French bi ñoo ko amee woon Gambia British yi so waaye balaa 10th of August 1889 pour gën a garal ne ñaari dëkk yi yëpp benn leen balaa 10th of August 1889 amuñu woon lu ñuy wax Gambia ak Sénégal so Sénégambia la woon ñaari dëkk yi nekk benn waaye under different administrations waaye da nga gis ne tubaab yi 10th of August 1889 lañ xaajale ñaari dëkk yi mu nekk ñaar tey nag gis nañ ne Sénégal ñu ngi wax French official language Gambie ñu ngi làkk anglais waaye soo xoolee si biir bu baax a baax a baax a baax ñaari dëkk yi nii ñoo am benn aada lañ am benn làkk lañ am benn nit ñi la man sax wax naa ko suma waxtaan ak adene bu ma tukkiwee dem beneen réew China xool naa foofu noonu ku ma fa gis rek dama day mun a wane damay mun a prédire ne kii il faut mu nekk sénégalais wala gambien te lu bari am naa ko accurate kon li ma lay wane la ñaari dëkk yi benn leen waaye soo xoolee si biir ñaari président yi tey lii dafa nekk loo xam ne lu am solo la histoire bu am solo la ne président Diomaye Diakhar Faye ñaareeli tukkeem si bitim réew Gambia la te tey dinañ gis ne ñaari président yi suñ jógee ko si airport bi léegi nii gis nañ ne si airport bi lu fa nekk di xew mooy ne ñu ngi introduce seen délégation si ak representatives bi fii si Gambia waaye suñ fi jógee ko rek ñu ngi expect ne dinañ dem State House te suñ demee State House ñaari président si dinañ toog ñoom ñaar ñu waxtaan si biir ñoom ñaar rek